Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Angela and this is all about my cross stitch, my works in progress, my whips and all of my plans coming up. And I am so sorry it's been so long since I was last with you. I know I've had lots of messages asking me if I'm okay, if I'm still going to be making videos. It's just been a bit of a whirlwind time really. We've had lots of family members who've been sick. So I've been helping those and supporting those people, and my boyfriend got COVID and he was really poorly, but thankfully he is much better now. And I also got offered a full-time job at the hospital where I've been working, so I've taken that. So I've had lots of different appointments for things and different training that I've had to do, so lots and lots going on. And here we are at the end of March and this year is just flying by already. So what else can I tell you? Oh, I've also made lots of changes in things to do with my stitching as well. So first of all, as you all know, I used to count how many hours I used to stitch and how many stitches I used to stitch, especially if it was a heaven and earth design and I could count stitches. Well, I have decided to make a change with that. I realised back in 2020 when I first started my Flosstube, that was when I found, through watching all your Flosstube videos, I have to say, which I still love to do, I found a lot of stitching groups, and some of those stitching groups used to have challenges where you used to have to time yourself. So for example, it might be stitch for 2 hours on a particular project, in a particular colour on a project, that kind of challenge. And I had continued to carry on with counting the hours of how long I was stitching for. And I realised actually, number one, I don't need to do that anymore. And number two, it wasn't really productive in my life anymore in terms of, so for example, it might be that I had a quick half an hour or even a quick 20 minutes where I could just do a bit of stitching. But the fact that I was like, oh no, I can't, I need to like start counting how much I'm stitching in 20 minutes. Is it really worth it? But actually, since making that change, it's been really quite good for me to make that change. So I'm still going to count my stitches because I would still love to know how many stitches I'm stitching each day. Yes, I'm still going to be doing that. And then the second thing that I've changed is, as you know, my stitching bug has gone a bit like this over the last year. Not for any other reason other than back in 2020, like I say, when I started this channel, I was shielding from COVID. I was at home 24/7 and I needed something to, I guess, help with my mental health really. And I had a lot of time to stitch. In fact, I completed a whole story keep during 2020. And that really got me into the bug of heaven and earth designs, I have to say. And as life opened up, life has changed for me. And I don't have as much time to do my stitching. Although I do think now that I've taken out recording the time, that will help as well. So I've also been thinking about, over this last year, trying to find different ways of choosing what projects to stitch, and I've been going into various groups. I've tried all sorts of different things that just haven't really worked out for me. They've maybe worked out initially but haven't really worked out. So I've been trialing something this month and it's worked really well, so I thought I'd carry it on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on each month 10 projects in a month and roughly 3 days each. And I say roughly because obviously February has 28 days and some months have 31 days. So like I say, roughly 3 days each. And what I've decided to do is split my projects into categories. So I've got 4 categories. And the first category is all of my heaven and earth designs, 10% or less. I've then got all of my heaven and earth designs, 10 to 20% completed. Then I've got anything over 20%, and at the moment I've only got 1 project in that category. And then I've got all of my non-heaven and earth designs into another category. So each month I'm going to pick 5 from the 10% or less. I'm going to pick 2 from the 10 to 20%. I'm going to do my one project that's over 20% at the moment. And then I'm going to pick 2 non-heaven and earth designs. And at the start of every month, or even at the end of this month maybe, I will get all of those 10 projects in from my Tiny Decisions app. Each of my projects have been put into those 4 categories. So I'll pull up my 10 projects, put those into their own separate Tiny Decisions section for April, and then each time I go to change a project, just decide from the app, let it decide for me. And so far this month, that's worked really, really well for me. And yes, I'm just going to carry that on. So each of the 3 days, so even if I'm working, even if I can just get one length of thread in, happy days. And if I can't do any on a day, that's okay, because I've still got 2 other days to work on it. And hopefully it will help move my projects forward. It's certainly helped in the last few weeks since I've been, or a couple of weeks since I've been doing it. So I haven't worked on loads of projects since the 15th of January. If anything, my stitching has happened this month. So what have I been working on since I last saw you? So my first project is going to be my weekly piece. This is going to be the exception to the rule. This is going to be my piece that I try and do every Sunday. It's my temperature, topography, and you can get this chart on Sarah Stitching Mummy's Etsy shop. And I have been working through that. I'm a little bit behind because, like I say, I had my boyfriend that was really quite sick a few weeks ago, so I am a little bit behind, but it won't take long for me to catch that up. So this is where I'm at to now. I've just started the M for March. Oh, let me pull that up. Yeah, there you go. So as you can see, the very first day of January, I think that was 16 degrees. Now I live in the UK, but I'm sort of south. I live on the outskirts of London, actually sort of like on top of Heathrow Airport really. 5 minutes from Heathrow Airport is where I live. So I'm further south. So we do see a bit of warmer weather. And you can probably see this is a green one. So this was 16 degrees on the 1st of January. And then it got cold, got really cold. And then February started to warm up, and then it got a bit cold, and then started to warm up, and it started to warm up again. And March, it got quite warm. It got up to 20 degrees in March so far this month. I don't think it's going to hit that or go any higher than that in the last few days. So I can't wait to see March getting some of these greener and yellowy colours, and hopefully as we go through we'll be losing some of these blues, this cold weather. But I really love stitching on these temperature pieces because I love seeing how the weather's changing. So that was my first piece that I did. I then moved on to my mini Princess of the Sea by Donna Gelsinger. And as many of you know, I restarted this. I was initially stitching it on 25 count, 2 over 1/10 stitch, and I just didn't like it. I did about 5,000 stitches and I thought, I don't like 10 stitch, and I don't like 25 count. So I've gone back to 20 count, and I'm stitching in the diagonal, and I will explain when I show you why I am stitching in the diagonal on this piece. So this is where I'm up to. Oh, by the way, I will share before pictures if I have them. So this is where I'm up to on this one. I just love these colours. Now, why am I stitching this piece in the diagonal when it's got big blocks of colour? Number one, I quite like stitching in the diagonal now. So I take a row of 20 and I do each stitch at a time, and I just work my way down. I did start a bit rogue, that's why there's a few sort of odd looking stitches, but as you can see, I picked up the diagonal down here. Yeah, so one stitch at a time, just to make sure any ninja stitches get caught up. And it's particularly a good method, I feel, when you've got a very heavy confetti areaed project, which I will show you shortly. But the reason why I've chosen to carry on with the diagonal in this one is because I know what I am like as a stitcher. And on this piece, when I was doing it on 25 count, I found the girl and did the girl, and I knew that if I did that again, I would lose interest in this piece, because then all I'd have is like the background. So that's why I thought if I did it on the diagonal, I've kind of got a bit, I will get to a point where I've got a bit of everything in. I've got a bit of the girl in and a bit of the sky, a bit of the sea, you know, a bit of everything in. So that's one of the reasons why I've chosen to carry on doing that piece. Now this is, like I say, on 20 count 2 over 1, and I did 446 stitches on this piece, which takes me to 2.67%. So that's that one. Then I worked on my biggest piece, which is, oh, if I can get it, let me show you, before I do that, let me show you the what it will look like. This is my World Travel Bookshelf by Amy Stewart. And, yeah, this is my biggest piece, and here we are. So, as you know, I was stitching diagonally, and then I went rogue, as you can see, and now I've gone back to going diagonal, and then I was just picking up any of the loose stitches. Let me just move that up. Loose stitches. Or loose stitches, what am I, you know, the gaps is what I'm trying to say, I guess. But diagonal stitching works really, really well for this project because there are so many ninja stitches in this, like you wouldn't believe. Just, yeah, so many random colours. I'm hoping at some point I get to block stitching because it is all lots and lots and lots and lots of different colours. But I am absolutely loving how this is coming out, especially now all the gaps are starting to get filled. It will take quite a few diagonals to catch all of these stitches. But yes. So I can't wait to start this next diagonal. Now, this one stitched on 20 count 2 over 1. And it's now at 2.52%, so a long way to go. I did do 635 stitches though, so really, really pleased with the progress I've made on that one. Then I moved on to Mini Checking It Twice. Now this is a Christmas design and it is by Donna Gelsinger. And I know it's not Christmas. I know it's nowhere near Christmas, but I love it. I absolutely love this project. And this was, I think, one of the first projects I started without gridded fabric. And I, decided that I wanted to do a little bit of the typewriter method, which I think Sarah Stitchin' Mummy here on Flosstube, she explains it so much better than I can. But you basically take you go left to right, and you take the first symbol and you move along. And you just basically do that symbol as far as it goes, and then you go to the next left symbol and you do it like that. However, because this one was very, very, very close to getting to 10%, I kind of started doing blocks of stitching. Now, I haven't always done the typewriter method on this. I think I just wanted to get from one end to the other just to see how wide it was. But, let me fold that. Here it is. Yeah, it's looking so good. So yeah, when I come back to it, there's a lot of ninja stitches in here, so I'm just gonna literally come back and start filling that in. But yeah, this is how wide it's going to be, and I have done sort of where the window is. I was filling that in. I need to finish around the wreath. So I think my ultimate aim is to do the typewriter method so that I kind of, I can't hold it and show you, so that I kind of meet it down here. So I can kind of go down here and then I can kind of work down, but try not to do too much further down before I've done all of that bit. So yeah, that's this one. It's just looking so good. Now this is 20 count 2 over 1. I don't know if you can see if that will pick it up. Oh, it might do. It's like a pearlescent fabric, and somebody asked me in one of my previous videos, well, why am I stitching on like a pearlescent fabric when it's full coverage? My aim is to, when I get it framed, is to have a bit of a border, so it's like a shiny kind of border when it gets framed. I just thought it was very Christmassy kind of material. I've also got this material for another Christmas project that I will start at some point. Not yet, definitely not yet. I've got too many Heaven and Earth designs on the go, really. So yes, that was that one. Now, like I say, 20 count, 2 over 1, and I did 948 stitches, and it's taken me to 10.09%. So I then drew another one to stitch on. I haven't actually stitched on for quite a while. Again, gorgeous, gorgeous picture, which is Minnie the Mountain Cabin by Dominic Davison. And this one, my needle was just flying on this piece. And here it is. I did a lot in that sky at the top. There's a lot of like bulk stitching there, just there. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased. It just, honestly, these designs are just awesome, aren't they? I'm kind of holding it like this because, I don't know if you can see, when I first started, I was going to do this piece in each like colour completion. So as you can see, it's like a random bit of pink here. I think that was one of the first pinks that were in this top colour. So I started with that and then I didn't really like it. I then ended up doing a bit of black for a challenge. But I've decided now just to kind of, I guess, take it in blocks going along. So I'm going to try and fill these gaps here next. Try and fill these gaps here. And then I'm going to move along, fill this bit, and then move all the way along. So I think it finishes about here. About there. So still quite a bit to do to get to the end, but yeah, really, really enjoying this. Now this one is stitched on 18 count, and that was purely because I had a lot of 18 count and I was impatient, didn't want to wait for an order of 20 count to arrive, and I knew I had enough material. So I started this, and how many stitches did I do? I did 1,046 stitches, but like I say, there was a lot of block colours to make that happen. And I'm now at 7.58%. So it won't be too long, I think, before it will get to the 10% and move into its new stitching category. So that was that one. Then I stitched on one that I hadn't stitched on. Again, I haven't stitched on this one for a long while, and I was waiting for some colours to arrive, which they arrived probably ages ago now, if I'm honest, that I really needed. So I got this one out because I just thought this is really easy stitching. It is Mini Sunflower Cottage by Donna Gelsinger. And this one I thought was really easy stitching because I'm doing all the blue at the top. So, and I've kept it in here because I've decided to spend the last 3 days of March trying to get as much blue as I can done. But some of the colours I was waiting for were the ones in these sort of heart-shaped clouds. So yeah, that's this one, and it's just looking so amazing. I mean, you have to like blue, I think, to do this project, because there is an awful lot of blue. There's like, I don't know, 10,000 stitches just between 2 different shades of blue. And this one that I'm working on here is 995. So yeah, you have to like blue, but the stitches go by really, really quickly. So that's why I just thought, yeah, let's just see how much I can get done of this blue. I get more of that knocked out this month. But I'm really, really liking it. Again, another project that I started without grid lines on the fabric. What's my preference? I don't know what my preference is, you know, between non-gridded and gridded. I kind of like both, but I like the grids because it's easy to see where the stitches go if you're not stitching the next stitch along and you're having to count. But I also like the feel of this material because the gridded fabric, this is a bit softer than the gridded fabric. So I don't know which one I prefer, but I guess having a bit of difference is good. So this one then, like I say, 20 count, 2 over 1 and 1,246 stitches. In fact, I did 950 stitches just in one day, and I didn't even feel like I'd spent like loads of time on it. I mean, I spent a bit of time on it, obviously, to get 950 stitches in, but it didn't feel like loads of time, and that's why I just, yeah, it's so colourful and so bright and just really lovely. But yeah, 1,246 stitches, which takes it to 4.64%. Now, I don't think it will take this one long to get out of the 10% category either. So just while I think of it, talking about my categories, why have I chosen to do 5 projects each month out of the less than 10% categories? It's because I want to just start seeing some progress on all of my Heaven and Earth designs, really. So that's the only reason. So that is it for all of my stitching. And as you can see, not a great deal of stitching, but like I say, most of my stitching came like this month, in the last few weeks, since I've been trialing this new method, and it's really, I find it really quite exciting to stitch in this way. So I'm going to carry on with that for April, and I will be back in April to share with you my progress and how I'm getting on with this new way of stitching. So until I see you, stay safe and happy stitching. Bye.